Hey there, I'm back. My house didn't have internet for a week. That was fun. So I apologize for the delay in getting out the part 2 episode on Rejection Sensitive Dysmorphia, but here we are. So at the time of this recording, it is summer. Currently, just getting started. And I am a mom of 3, which makes this honestly my favorite time of the year because we are busy doing fun things and out making memories. So here's your reminder to drink more water, to be present in your day, and remember that the world needs who you are. Speaking of, let's go there. Hopefully you were able to listen to that previous episode on rejection sensitive dysmorphia because it's going to help explain what that is, how it shows up in our lives, and why it happens. It's not a comprehensive guide, but it is definitely a good start on just some awareness and a little bit of learning. It can intertwine with neurodivergence, but that is not always the case. Again, everyone experiences rejection, and the information really is helpful across the board. So when you want people to like you, it can be more challenging to know who you truly are and to have the courage to be who you truly are in every arena of your life. Sometimes it's going to show up as blending in, staying in the background, not speaking up. Sometimes it's just going to be more like going along with the crowd, not rocking the boat, or acting as a chameleon in a way, expertly blending in with your surroundings. Sometimes we use exterior masks, becoming on the outside what we believe will help people to like us. Maybe it's a hairstyle, or like a clothing style, or even your color scheme. Maybe you speak up less often. Maybe you try not to talk too much, or speak in ways that please others or in order to gain acceptance. This next one is big, and that is that we try to change our physical bodies to get people to like us. Culture has expectations that don't come naturally. I don't follow much pop culture, but happened to see that show, The Kardashians, last week. And you guys, the shapes of the bodies I saw was very interesting. It's likely because I'm 42 years old. So I came from a culture like in middle school and high school where everyone was supposed to be stick thin and have no butt. I mean, like no butt, completely flat. That was the style. That's how the clothes were made. That was the thing. And at that time, I had a butt and I could never find clothes to fit it. It was really frustrating. And now, as I saw, it has absolutely swung the other direction, but also it didn't look natural at all. I mean, zero judgment on those alterations, but it's just really, it interested me how much things have changed. And was a great reminder that we are all marketed to and receive conditioning in, sometimes to an extreme, how we should look and dress. We use interior masks as well, and since we don't tangibly see these masks, we may not even realize that they are there. Some ways that we do this include masking as somebody new in every situation and context. When you want people to like you, who you are in the moment depends on the moods and behaviors of the people around you. And we don't realize that others are also wearing identities like sets of clothing. We have learned that boundaries hurt us, so we don't set them. We use our masks to appear to be more or less of a certain way. Side note, when a person is forced to mask from a young age, they may never have even had the chance to develop and to get to know their core self because authentic expression has never been safe. So we try to be more or less popular, fun, smart, educated, oppressed, dedicated, social, angry, religious, fashionable, normal, stable, mature, political, responsible, rich, independent, fit, brave, seductive, masculine, feminine, qualified, vulnerable, or skilled. The list goes on. Add your own to it. So as you're hearing those, it's a great time to create awareness. Are there times in your life where you try to be more of those things or less of those things in order to fit in? And even if these masks are actually part of our true identity, our core self, we may be using them to appear more or less that way. And eventually we lose contact with our true selves so that no identity feels real. Identities become more like outfits to put on and wear in different settings, the same way that we change clothes. So I made you guys a free download to help you process through your own masks. I will link it in the notes so that you can use it for reference on your own time. So you can also do this on your own, just with paper and something to write with. I'll kind of talk you through it. But again, I will have that linked in the notes, and it's a free download, and it also includes the instructions in case you forget. I hope it's helpful. Okay. So if you happen to be driving, you can process this in your mind to begin to see the picture of your true self, but of course it will be much more healing to sit with it when you have time to allow memories and those aha moments to really come through. So in column 1, I've listed out some common masks that people use. We talked about several of them already, and there's space for you to go in and add your own that you resonate with as well. In column 2, next to the list of the masks, this is going to be the space where you can quickly just take an inventory of sorts and use like a plus or minus sign next to each one that you do feel like you use, and use the plus sign if you're using that mask to appear more that way, or use a minus sign next to the ones that you use to appear less that way. In column 3, we're going to write down the source or sources of the mask. It's like tracing the fruit back down to its root. It could be conditioning, it could be cultural, it could be marketing. There's all kinds of sources, family of origin, the list goes on. So some questions to ask yourself to help you process through that would be, when was the first time that I remember using this mask? What's your earliest memory with it, right? Or who was I around when I used this mask most often, or currently use, right? Either way, whatever applies. So that's a great way to just revisit where that came from. And what you're trying to do here is differentiate whose voice that is. If it's not yours, whose is it? If you can't pinpoint where it came from, the most important point, the whole thing, is to realize it's not your voice. right? That's the point. Okay, moving on. Column 4. This is not a big enough space. You can maybe make some small notes here, but you may want to grab like your favorite journal or just get another piece of paper, however you want to do it. But for that, and each of the masks that you are kind of processing through and learning more about, you want to answer the following question, and that is this belief or practice or relationship or situation adding anything positive to my life? And then when you're ready to remove each one of these masks, the next question is, what small step can you take first to, just like we talked about in the boundaries episode, it can be really helpful to start small and build confidence over time. So give yourself grace. This is not just, ripping off all the masks at once. And I mean, hey, more power to you, but, for setting yourself up for long-term success, you may want to start small. So personally, I remember being in my mid-30s and having a conversation with a friend about relationship difficulties in my life. Here's a mask of mine as I do that is laughter. When I feel vulnerable, I laugh. If I'm talking about something hard, I laugh. That's like how I deflect. Yeah, fun side note. So there I go again. Anyway, so this friend of mine, she was really so kind and gentle, but also pointed out my masking. She asked me if I knew who I really am. And my answer was no. It was a hard answer, but it was the truth. And it was one of those moments that plays back in slow motion because it was so profound for me and so important. And yeah, a couple of years before that happened, during another hard season, someone I knew asked me if I knew what codependency was. My answer, no. What's that? I know. Okay. But I began to learn about codependency first. So that's why I'm kind of backing up here. Before I was discovering my core self, I was learning about this whole world I never knew existed of codependency and what that was. And as I learned about codependency, honestly, it was very overwhelming. I can't emphasize that in enough ways possible to describe how overwhelmed I was. And I really tend to approach things through the lens of all or nothing, which made overcoming codependency feel really harsh and scary and unattainable, even with the supportive professional help that I had. Looking back, I was beating myself up about not being able to overcome that, and I just felt like a destination that I would never reach. And now I can see how much harder it was without also doing the work to unearth my core self, right? I don't know personally if I was even capable of walking through that healing journey of codependency without also knowing who I was. I don't know if that's possible. Maybe it is, but it was not for me. It was not easy. And in fact, that rocked my marriage to its core. And sometimes our comfort zones are unhealthy, but at least we know what to expect, right? It was equally hard for both of us, but it also brought deep healing and broke some lifelong patterns that we were stuck in. And I'd like to say that everything was great from that day forward, but that's not real life, right? It's like an onion, and each layer that we peeled off and we sit in its aroma, each layer, each stinky little layer has allowed us to experience a soul level healing and do it together. If he wasn't willing to go through all of that alongside with me and be open to changing our comfort zone and growing together, I could be sharing an entirely different story. So I just want to acknowledge that I am fully aware how blessed I am to be with somebody that is willing to grow as well. If you also live your life from that lens of wanting other people to like you, I'll ask you those same questions. Have you heard of codependency? There's that laugh again. Do you feel like you know who you truly are? If the answer is no, I just want to say it's okay. And I'm really proud of you for having the courage to even say no, and to let you know that this day forward is like the start of a new chapter in your life. Here are some things I've learned to help process the big picture of masking. Masking creates a more intense experience of rejection. But how? We think our masks are our identities, so rejection of our masks can feel like a rejection of ourself. We shop for and we borrow other people's identities like they are flattering clothes. If you do this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Here's a great example. I have literally dressed differently to become like the crowd. I'm talking wearing similar colors, similar jewelry, and being interested in the same topics that they all are as a way to mask or to fit in. And when I was connected with more natural-minded, like earthy friends, which I still am, but I hesitated to wear really bright, vibrant colors because it wasn't common in that crowd, and I would dress more conservatively because anything more form-fitting or trendy wasn't common either. And after my inner work, I realized that the real me likes bright colors and bold styles, even if it's too much. I would say my favorite Facebook group right now is this colorful maximalist decor group. If you know what that is, it'll sound spot on. It's people who have all these colors in their house and tons of patterns, and everything's really bold and really wild, and it just like makes my heart happy to look at it. That's the real me. So now, wherever I go, I proudly show up in that bright, hot pink. The funny thing is, and you will likely experience this as well, that when you own who you are, it radiates. I would get compliments when I was showing up as my true self. When I was in that bright pink, people would say, I just love that color. Like, I love that, the way that looks or whatever. But it's not about the thing. It's not about the clothing. They respond to the way that they can tell that you feel in it, that you're being yourself, right? The best way I can paint this picture for you is to vision a day at the beach. So many people are self-conscious. So many people shame their bodies, even to the extent where they miss out and won't participate in the fun. Okay, so we're envisioning our beach day, right? But then you see her. You see someone that does not fit the mold of what culture, marketing, and conditioning tells us that we are supposed to be and supposed to look like. And she's there in her swimsuit and she is out splashing in the water. She's playing in the waves, maybe playing with kids if she's got them. They have the biggest smiles. She has the biggest smile. She's laughing. She's radiating joy. And suddenly, just like that, no matter her appearance, she becomes the most beautiful woman at that beach. She is mesmerizing. If that story doesn't resonate, it could be because when we are disconnected from ourselves, we are also hypercritical of ourselves and others. So next time that you're out, take note. Do you judge other people with a critical eye? That could be a sign that you may be disconnected from your core self. Through masking, our relationships fall into unhealthy patterns and codependency. We are primed and open targets. How do you know if you have fallen into codependent patterns? Here are some signs. Maybe you need a lot of reassurance, attention, and validation from others to feel worthy. You can fall in love quickly, but can immediately hate someone for minor offenses. You try hard to be needed and fix others because love feels like a reward for good behavior. You see your own worth and the worth of others as conditional. You are obsessive about others and your own behavior. And how do I know these things? I'm not a therapist. I know because I experienced all of them. And through my own healing process, I have a lot of awareness about all of the things that I've walked through. So when we want people to like us, it's hard to say no. It makes us easy targets for unhealthy relationships. When we take the passive role of servitude and giving too much, yet also feel like a martyr when it's not reciprocated. We can end up living an others-focused life where our goals, our feelings, and our desires are responses to others and not a reflection of our own identities or needs. It creates a cloud of chaos and drama. We criticize and blame ourselves and others for minor problems, harshly judging ourselves and others, and manipulate to make ourselves the victim. That may push on a sore spot. Our culture is creating healthy awareness of self-focused people, such as narcissistic, which makes it easy to blame them, right? And just paint them as the bad person. They're just a narcissist. But part of a healing journey, part of my healing journey, has been to reflect what part I played in my life. I may not have had awareness yet, but upon reflection, it's possible for me to see the ways that I allowed the dynamic to take root, how I didn't have boundaries to prevent it, or even what masks that I used that played a role in the outcomes. I'm not victim blaming here, especially as someone who has had absolute interaction with more than one, but I want to challenge you to open up your awareness and create more healthy relationships going forward. I have done this myself, and I can look back and see what could have been different had I not been masking, and had I done the work to express my needs along the way, had I spoke up, had I created boundaries when something was not okay. And I'm sure I will share about some of those going forward. it's heavy. See, the laughing. There it is. So you know it's heavy because the laugh came out. Yeah. I don't even know. I'm having trouble finding the words for that. But I have several experiences, but one in particular was over a period of several years, about 6 years, and was one of the biggest lessons of my life. It's like it had kept repeating and kept repeating, but this one, you know how it is. First we get whispers, and then the whispers get louder and louder and louder, and it's like she's not listening, so bam. That was my bam. But I decided to learn my lesson, and it was a very life-changing moment. So I will share that story at some point here pretty soon. But just a little preview to let you know that I absolutely am not just blaming people for what they go through, because I've been through some abuse myself, but I also carried these lessons forward with me in my own life, and these lessons have become a part of me down to my bones. I wish you could see my face when I say that. It is soaked into my marrow, and the true me today speaks up even when it's hard, and the true me today shows up even when it feels like people don't like me. The true me today shines a light that can only come from me. So as we wrap up today, I want to remind you that the world needs who you are, not your masks. It needs that core, true version of you. This work of unearthing your true self will be hard, but it will also set you free. You can anchor into that truth of who you are. It is safe to trust that you know what is best for you. You deserve to have people in your life that encourage you. On the other side of setting a boundary is a space for you to get to know yourself. You can allow others to fix what they create. Remember that others can grow from experiencing things, and the best way to help them is to not interrupt that process. You do not have to give up your needs to be loved. Licensed marriage and family therapist Crystal Mazzola says, breaking out of codependency requires us to come to terms with accepting that we have inherent worth. We don't have to do anything to earn worth, and we cannot do anything that makes us truly worthless. So take some time today and imagine yourself as the person on the beach, playful, joyful, worthy, soaking up beautiful moments with the ones that you love. This is who you truly are. Until next time, I appreciate you.